Hi Year 2, it's Mrs Flanagan again, and this is our first science lesson. Today we're going to be learning about a scientist who works with animals. Her name is Jane Goodall. So in this lesson we're going to be thinking about these questions. What did Jane Goodall do? What animals did she work with? Where did she work? What did she do to make her a scientist? And why is she inspiring? If you don't know what inspiring means, it's in the purple writing. It means encouraging or making you feel you want to do something. So, first of all, let's think what a scientist is. There's lots of pictures here of different kinds of scientists. Can you think what a scientist is or what a scientist does? Or what skills a scientist have? Just have a think before we look at the next page. So these are some of the answers you may have come up with. If we start with the top one, the blue writing, it says someone who uses chemicals. Or someone who is clever, or someone who does experiments. Or a scientist could be someone who discovers things. Or it's a person who watches and observes things and animals. Or it could be a person who measures things. Or a person who draws drawings of what they see. Or a scientist could be a person who learns about plants and animals, or trees. Or it could be a person who studies and cares for animals. There are lots of different ideas of what a scientist is, but these are some of the ideas that maybe some of you would have come up with. And all of them would have been true for a scientist. So let's find out about Jane Goodall and who she is. So I'm going to read from the top. You can see a picture of Jane Goodall as she looks like now. And Jane was born in Britain in 1934. When she was 1, her father bought her a stuffed toy chimpanzee called Jubilee. And you can see a picture of Jubilee there. As a young girl, she dreamt of working and living with animals. Jane worked very hard as a secretary and a waitress and saved all her money so that she could go to Africa. Eventually, she went to Tanzania in Africa to study chimpanzees. And you can see a picture there of where the chimpanzees live. On the map, there is a picture of Africa, and she went to a country called Tanzania. And below you can see a picture of some chimpanzees. She worked in the forest and only really had her binoculars and notebook. She was very patient, and eventually the chimpanzees learned to trust her. Then she could begin to get close to them. Jane lived with the chimpanzees and watched how they lived with one another. She even named the chimps. So in this picture, you can see a picture of some chimps and some of the names she named her. Frodo, Fifi, Goliath, and David Greybeard. Jane learnt that chimpanzees eat insects as well as plants. They also make and use simple tools. Jane also did some other work as well on saving the forests that the chimpanzees live in. Now let's look at the task that you're going to do. So what I'd like you to do is look at this video again then I'd like you to use the links in the description below the video in the Year 2 playlist on YouTube and watch, firstly, a film of this book being read. It's called The Watcher, The Story of Jane Goodall, written by Jeanette Winter. And you can see a picture of the book here. Also, I'd like you to watch a film entitled Into the Forest with Jane Goodall. You'll find the links below the video in the YouTube channel under the Year 2 playlist in the description of this video. While you're watching these two films, I'd like you to think about these questions. What did Jane Goodall do? What animals did she work with? Where did she work? And what did she do to make her a scientist? We'll be discussing these questions in the Zoom later on. And next week, we will be making a poster about Jane Goodall's life and how she inspires us. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the films and enjoy reading the book. Bye, Year 2.